Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Amy Masters, host of Tech Talk Live. So today's special guest, we have Lori Halloway, which if you guys get on YouTube at all, I'm sure you've seen what Lori does for her specialty of funky feet, I would call it. Anyway, so excited to be able to have Lori on today with the Meticulous Manicurist. So let's get her on screen with us. Wonderful. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Saturday. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm just glad that, remember the first time that we did this and we couldn't connect forever. So this live stuff terrifies me a little bit. So I'm glad that it's going smooth.
And it's funny that you say that because we see so many lives like that you do through your YouTubes and everything like that, that it blows me away that, well, I still get nervous too, but that you would be nervous for putting yourself out there. But you're right, connecting sometimes is the anxiety that we get. The rest of it goes by really smooth.
Yeah. And it's not that the content that I create isn't what the nerve-wracking part is. I think it's the not knowing really who's on the other end. And if you're delivering what they need or what they want. So it leaves you with, oh my gosh, you know, am I giving them what they want?
Yeah, that's so true. And we can ask all we want, or as I've learned, I'll do the live for it. And then like 2 days later, somebody's like, you should do a video on this. And I'm like, oh, I just did. I released it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Or you should do a video on this. Well, I kind of did that too. And so trying to fulfill the needs of what everybody wants is difficult because we want to do that and we're giving away that knowledge freely. But you're right, it is kind of difficult with that. Anyways, I want to say good morning. And Lori, can you see the people that are watching in the comments coming through?
No. So I was going to try to swipe again. I can't see it on my phone. And then I'm going to refresh on my computer.
Perfect.
I don't know where I am. I don't know how to find on the computer where we're talking.
Okay, so on your computer, you're going to go to our Facebook group, Tech Talk Worldwide, and then refresh that. Okay. Go to the discussion part, and then scroll up, and you'll be able to see us. But what you'll need to do is right there, you're just viewing it. You'll need to click on it to open it, and then you'll be able to see the comments.
Oh, there. I see myself.
Yay! So there's a little bit of a delay usually from your phone to your computer, so you'll see it like a little bit lagged, but that's just how technology works.
Okay, yeah, and technology, I hate technology right now. I don't know if you saw when I was in Sacramento a couple of weeks ago, I was trying to type something in. I put myself out there. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a little live thing, and I'm like, is this still running? People were like, oh my gosh, you don't. And I'm like, that's just how life is, because I really don't, you know, if you don't know how to work the technology and then you're like, well, I'm going to try this, you kind of look stupid when you're experimenting with it. So
I go live a lot in a private group that it's just me. So that way I can practice, and then that's where I do the nail tutorials. And then if something massively goes wrong, internet connection stops or something like that, then I can delete it. But I can tell you, thank goodness. So we've been doing, see, just like that.
See?
You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, and you know what? My little mount, it actually broke. So the top part of it just flicked off. I'm just going to balance it there.
See, once again, going live, you never, ever know.
And, you know, I can film my services and then I can edit out, because people will come and ask me questions while I'm working, and, you know, I can edit out all of that stuff so it looks really smooth.
We don't do that here. It's all out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lori, I want to say good afternoon and welcome to Tech Talk Live again. I am so
thankful.
Thankful
for having me again. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I want to go back in time and share with everybody how you got started in the nail industry.
Okay. So I was doing my own nails. I was a DIYer because my roommates, they had more financial support. So I was paying for my own college, paying for my own apartment and stuff like that. And I didn't have any extra money for nails. And my roommates were going to the salon, getting their nails done. And I was like, oh, I want pretty nails too. So I went to the beauty supply, got what I needed, and started doing my own nails. And one day when I was at the mall, a woman stopped me and said, oh, where do you get your nails done? And I said, so she's like, oh my gosh, your nails look so good. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And she's like, who does them? And I'm like, I do them. And she's like, well, where do you work? And I said, I'm a bartender. And she's like, what? I thought you were a nail tech. And I said, no. And she said, well, if you do nails that good, you should go to school and get licensed because you would build a big clientele, make a lot of money. I'm like, sweet. So I looked into it and started school, and I built a clientele very quickly. Like within 6 months, I was doing share rental, and it's been a whirlwind ever since.
Oh my goodness. And you know what? The power of what one person can say to you at a specific time in your life when you're ready to hear it.
Yes.
Like, how many times could your parents have told you the same thing and you're like, yeah, But one stranger can mention something to you and you're like, that's a brilliant idea.
Yes. Yes. Because while I was doing my own nails, I was dating a guy, and his parents looked down their nose at the industry. Because when I was like, oh, I like to do this, and they're like, oh. So those comments to me was like, oh, do I have to go finish my college degree?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that someone gave me a positive push in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm doing what I want to do.
Did you find that naysay? I had the exact same story that you have. It was looked down, and there was not a nail program in Wyoming. And I remember her saying, well, there's a reason for that because it's not a real job.
Ugh.
And I was like, I grew up in California and there's a nail program there and there's lots of nail technicians. My cousin, my aunt, my mom, like I know that it's profitable. And anyways, don't you find that their naysay though almost fuels a fire in you to prove them wrong for some reason?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so once you got licensed and you build up your clientele, did there come a time that you debated, like, should you open your own salon? Like, what was the next step that you were like, what do
No.
I do?
So I had my children, and my experience with salons that I worked in, the bad experiences, I think is what grew me to be a really good business owner, because I'm not one to jump on the bandwagon and do what other people do. I always tell people, you do the right thing and good things will come to you. When you don't do the right thing, that is when you're fighting for your life just to keep your head above water, trying to correct all of those mistakes that you have made. So just do the right thing. So worked in the salon, had my baby. There were rumors going around the salon that she was going to go change all of the chair rentals to employees. And we asked her about it, and she said, nope, not true, not true. And the day before I was supposed to come back from maternity leave, she called me at home and said, I just want to let you know that when you come to work tomorrow, that you're going to be an employee. And I said, well, I'll be there to pick up my stuff. And she said, well, what do you mean? You just had a baby. You have clients waiting. And I said, I will not have you take advantage of a situation just to get what you want. Like, you've done nothing to build my business. No, it's not happening. And she just thought that she had me in a corner and was going to force me into this situation. So I went into the salon with boxes, started packing up my stuff, and the other girls were like, what are you doing? And I said, packing out my shit. What are you going to do? I'm like, I'll figure it out tomorrow. I don't know. And they said, well, she told us that you agreed to this, and that's why we all agreed. And I said, well, she lied to you, and that's not happening. So I left and made some phone calls the very next day. I found a place within a couple of days, and it just snowballed from there. But each bad experience, I was like, you know what? My clients deserve better. So the last place, when the woman stood on top of her hair station and was saying, oh yeah, we were at the bar and this is what I was doing, and I was like, I gotta go. Like this is not this like, why am I in crazy world? Why can't people just be, let's focus on the client. No one cares what you were doing standing on a bar dancing all crazy yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
And that's when I was like, I'm getting my own place. I'm done.
Yeah. You know what? Do you know how many people tell me the same story that you do? That once they build up their clientele, the owner switches either their commission or switches them to hourly and does something because now you've become more successful and they can see the money opportunity and they know
and they
that
try
you're
to
going
take
to have to move.
advantage. Yes.
Yeah.
But
So
you know what? They don't understand the return on investment for the clients in the salon. If I have a huge clientele and you piss me off and I leave, they aren't getting eyebrow waxes in your business. They're not getting haircuts in your business. So you thinking that you're going to make a couple extra percentage points on the income, in the long run, you lose. Like, no one understands finances. And that's one thing that I am putting together a class for, to help nail technicians understand that there is a growing phase, there is a comfort phase, and then is when you go into chair rental. And then teaching them all of the business aspects that you need to know for all of that chair rental stuff, so you can be successful and continue to grow and not be bogged down with all of the responsibilities of not knowing, and the employment taxes, and all of that crazy stuff.
That's exactly what I teach with keeping profits in your pockets, because they don't know. People don't know where to start. We get out of school, they don't teach us that in school. And unless you've taken a business class or go for years of failing, like what I did in the beginning, of like, how can I make this work? And sadly, I mean, and I love my mom, but my mom was not a businesswoman. My mom did the same thing, and I learned from my mom. And so it took me pulling in outside sources of accountants and attorneys and, all these other people for me to like go, oh, I did not know that. And so there's nothing wrong with not knowing, but there are those of us that do know and utilize us. And so I applaud you for putting that together, because more people need to know how to set their prices, know about the overhead, know what true costs are, not what a company tells them, because it's never the same. I've proven that over again. Yeah.
And there's phases in the industry, it seems, where everybody is commission, and then it all changes where everybody wants to be booth rental, and then it changes back because people realize this isn't what people promised it was going to be, and then they move back to commission. And it's not right for nail technicians to get out of school and be told that they should be booth rental, because they're going to make more money in a commission salon until they hit that number where they're actually where they're bringing home more money as booth rental. And I have a spreadsheet of like everything, listed out with, the percentage of taxes and the costs of your products and the cost of your chair rent and all of that stuff. So I know someone right now, she just got her license in July and she is chair rental. I'm like,
how do you afford it?
I'm like, believe me, that's not going to go well.
Yeah.
You need clients.
So
when I opened my salon, I was able to pay all of the bills all by myself. Like, I opened that business and I didn't have any employees, because I was like, I was making enough money a week where I could pay everything on my own and still make money. So, and because I bought the building too. So it wasn't just, I wasn't throwing away the money in rent. It was an investment towards the mortgage. So.
Exactly. There's so much that plays into that. And with you sharing your experience and your knowledge of what you've done, sadly, what's happening is because of Uber and some of these other companies, I could be wrong. I think it's called like AV5 or something like that. They're trying to get, in some states, they're trying to get all people that work on commission, they have to become an employee. because they're hiding too much money and there's all these regulations in there. They're not following the
Right.
rules of the company and stuff. And
Right.
so I think it was called AB5. We talked about it in a few of these tech talks, and then finally we did a side talk on it to get more education on it. And it sounds like it got passed where nail
Yeah.
technicians and hairdressers were exempt. But it's
Yes.
amazing.
I was talking to Jamie Schrebeck about that in California. And she's a huge part of, she goes to all of the board meetings. She knows all of the ins and outs about all of that. She's a very brilliant woman. So
yeah, in fact, I think it was her tech talk that I first really had my eyes open to that. And I thought, I'm in a different state, but what can I do to make my state not even look at that? And of course, we don't even have Uber in our area. So,
right.
Yeah. So Amanda says, I think we've all been in situations where we've been forced. We always have options though. Good for you. And I agree. Like we do have options, but sometimes we don't have the strength like what you exhibited to be able to say, no, this isn't right. And the confidence. So it really takes your tribe or a group like this for us to get the education out, for us to say, no, that's not right. So if you ever have questions about your current situation, we encourage you to reach out to a mentor or reach out to the group and post that so that we can help know and help educate you to get the confidence to stand up for yourself.
Yes. Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Yeah.
I
Delia says that she says no is a no booth rent state. So I don't know what no is. I think it's a typo. It says I have been NO is a no booth rental state, and I have been asked to booth rent at someone's place, and I've said no. They didn't. They didn't understand why. I think there's some.
Oh, the owner didn't understand why.
Yeah. Oh, and she did correct it. She said New Jersey.
New Jersey. Yeah. That's the problem, is that people, so people work in a salon, or they think that they should be chair rental, and the next logical place is to go from chair rental to salon owner. And salon owners really need to be educated on, there is a difference between a commission, they're paying commission and thinking it's a 1099 as opposed to an employee. When you pay an employee commission, because you do, like in my salon, I'm generous, because you have to think of it from the salon owner's perspective. If we're paying your portion of the taxes and buying all of the supplies and giving you 50%, then we're only getting 30%. And then we're using that 30% to pay for all of the overhead in the business, telephone, internet, insurance, rent, repairs, all of that stuff. But I start them at 50%, but if they have, if they hit $650 a week in services, I raise it to 53%. And then, depending on how many services a week I pay all the way up to 62%, because I want my people to be happy. And I know that there's return on investment for those clients. Those happy clients are getting eyebrow waxes, and they're getting haircuts, and they're getting highlights, they're getting facials, they're getting other services in the salon. So I am making more money because they're getting other services done, and then retail and etc. You got to have good salon owners. And there's a lot of salon owners out there who, they're too short-sighted. They can't see past a dollar sign, and you can't think about money at all. You have to say, I'm able to pay my bills now. How can I build a good community of strong stylists who are going to take care of these people, where people feel safe and trust you and keep coming for over and over and over and over again? I have clients I've been doing for over 20 years, and I have employees that work in my business for, my longest employee right now, I think, is 16 years. Yeah. They aren't going to go anywhere because, we're family. We're taking care of our community, and that's how people need to start thinking about it. The money falls in your lap. It just falls into place when you do the right thing, and people have to start realizing that. Another
thing with salon owners, of course, I've been a salon owner for many years as well, and had many techs, is that the number one thing to keep them going and keep them motivated and inspired is education. And whether, for instance, we can go to your YouTube channel. A lot of people get, continuing education there, but we would try to group together and go to shows And when we would do that, we would get the latest releases of what was coming out, what was next. And so therefore we were always kind of innovative compared to the other salons in our area. It's because we pulled
Yes.
together the team and took education very seriously. So it wasn't about the
Yes.
money. You're right. The money came
Right.
because of our knowledge and because of our
Yes. And your
experience.
confidence. Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the clients trusted you because they knew that you were investing in yourself and investing in your future.
Yeah. So at some point in time, you decided to advance your career again. So you had your babies, you opened your salon, you built, your techs and it's, going on a, well, still today. What was what was that next step where you decided you wanted to get into like the education side of it and YouTubes and blogs and
Like it's like my life is so everything that's happened to me, like I'm just keeping up with it. None of it was planned. I didn't, after my neck fusion, when my doctors told me you have to quit, like you can't keep doing this, it's killing your body. I was like, I make all of the money in my household. I mean, my husband worked full time in the business, so he was just
yeah,
saving overhead. He wasn't collecting a paycheck. And I was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to, earn an income? So I thought, well, if I can't do nails, at least I need to share what I know before I'm completely broken with other nail techs so they can at least help their communities. I can live vicariously through them and I'll be happy. And then I was
yeah,
thinking, yeah, I was depressed. Like I was the worst time of my life. Like I hate even thinking about that time. But
yeah,
I was like, Bruce and I were just talking this morning, after I upload a video and then the sales start coming in from the online sales and stuff. And he's like, okay, I got to go into the salon tomorrow because I have to pack so many boxes to get them shipped out and stuff. And I said, do you remember when I first started my YouTube channel? I was like, there's like 10 people watching my video, like 10 people an hour. And he's like, really? That's so cool, And I'm like, I got 30 subscribers this month. And now we're comparing how many boxes we're shipping out. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is like so crazy. And it all developed just because I was in fear of losing my career and
yeah,
terrified of how I was going to support my family. I'm like, I have 2 kids I have to put through college. I have mortgages to pay. And, like, what am I going to do? And it took. And now I'm like, my clients are like, you're not going to quit doing nails, are you? And I'm like, no, I film you. Hello.
yeah,
I need you. Like,
yeah.
you can't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You guys are
Lori,
like my.
yeah. So you and I got to meet this last year. We were with the cruise with the nail stars and we got to meet. And one of my favorite moments was actually not even on the cruise. After the cruise, we took a shuttle or Uber. I don't remember how we got back
When
to the
we had
airport.
lunch that day.
We had like 4 hours to do
Yes.
nothing. So me, you, and your husband went and had lunch in the
Yeah.
airport. And I can tell you, it's a spotlight in my memory bank of
Aw.
we opened up to each other and talked to each other about our illnesses and how that fear
Mm-hmm.
drove us to share our knowledge so much because we wanted to make sure that we could make a change and that we are
Yes.
so passionate about what we do. And we knew that if we learned social media just a little bit, and if we could just do this just a little bit, we can do this. And it's
Yes.
just that inner voice. And so you and I have the same story. I mean, throughout our whole careers and everything, and we
Yes.
connect a lot. And I get
I didn't want to
emotional.
let you go that day. I was like, no, what's
I
your plan? No.
And so I'm so proud of you. Like, and
Aw,
I
thanks.
mean that so sincerely because at your whole career and your whole life, obviously we've proven that we've been forced into situations. We've had the negate, where people have negated what we do. We've had those choices of, like, is this what we should do? We've been moms. We've been, the wife.
Yes.
We're the breadwinners of our family. And now we're taken down. But it did
Yes.
not keep us down. We found a different resource with that. And so So when you started and you first got your 30 subscribers and building that up, which I'm new to YouTube this year, so I
Yes.
just hit my 1,000 and I was like, I hit 1,000. Now I don't know, I have no clue what to do with it now. Just let it just keep going. And so um I want to say thank you for being that inspiration. And again, I'm proud of you for
Thank
standing
you.
true even in your darkest time and that, but sharing that because so many times we see people online and we get this idea of who they are and we don't realize they went through a dark time. We don't realize the
Yes.
struggles that they really did have and where the placement came through for them to put something into fruition. And so with the YouTube and your sales, so let's talk about the sales because you have your own
Hmm.
product. Plus,
Yes.
you have a new thing that you just patented, and I'm excited
Hmm.
to be able to share that too. But
Yes.
how did you get into where you decided that you needed more than just the YouTube and the salon? Where did the sales part come in?
Like I said, I didn't plan any of it. I like when I was doing pedicures, all of my career, I always made comments like, you know what they need to do, you know what they should do, you know what they need. And then, you're looking online and you're like, who makes this? I need to buy this. I need to buy that. And then finally one day I said, I'm I'm earning a substantial income on YouTube. I'm going to invest this money and I'm going to find a manufacturer. Oh, I got a notification. And I'm going to have that made. So I reached out and I found it and I started, like, I think the very first thing that I had done was my stainless steel file because of the sanitation. They're like, where is that noise coming from?
I don't
And
know.
it's like I can hear my old conversation. When I touched my screen, whoop,
Oh,
I forgot that I was just balancing. All right, I'll just
I
ignore
love
it.
it.
So the whole sanitation thing of the single-use disposable files, and when you're working with pedicures, I needed to make sure that the people that I had in my business were following the rules. And I was like, we just need something that's stainless steel so they can sanitize and sterilize and disinfect in between clients. Because I don't want them reusing the same file on clients. So that was my very first thing. And then all of my viewers were like, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? I need this. I wish I had that. I was like, I can manufacture that too. So I had a guy and I called him up and I said, can you make this? He said, send me the dimensions. I was like, okay. And that's how it started. And then little by little, I just kept adding products. So now I have my own nippers, file, cuticle pusher, ingrown sidewall cleaners, rasps. I have an amazing, really long apron for nail techs that covers your knees. And it's waterproof, so it doesn't get your pants wet while you're working, because we've all had to sit a heel on our knee and get a little wet spot, and all of the aprons are so short that when you sit down, they ride up.
Yep.
I made them really wide, so it covers you all the way around, so your legs are protected. So now I have a whole bunch of stuff. And it's just because people asked, do you have this? And I was like, I could make that, sure.
Yeah.
That's how I started.
I love it. Love it. Every bit of it. And that's so inspirational. Julia's on here, Julia Snell that came on.
Hi, Julia.
And she says, hubby says hi to you beautiful
Oh,
women.
good. Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that trip was fun.
Yeah. And so a lot of people, I know because I too will watch the videos. And of course you kind of, well, you not kind of, you have absolutely started specializing in what I call funky feet. And so, and so I know sometimes the comments are like, what do you do? Just go get people off the street and bring them in so you can videotape them. But really these people seek you out and they're willing to travel to be able to come to you to have their toenails transformed.
I have a map hanging in my pedicure room now of the United States with pins from all of the states all over where people have come, and they've come from California and Texas and Arizona and New Jersey and Canada. I mean, all over. They've traveled from all over the world, well, the US to see me.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's fun.
Yeah, they always seem to ask in the comments because I'll read through the comments to kind of see what people say, and they're always wanting to know your magic serum. Like, what do you always, they always want to know that serum. What is that? I want that.
Yeah, they're always, yeah. I spend probably 3 to 4 hours a day answering questions just on YouTube. And Bruce helps too. I mean, we stay up late trying to keep a hold of all of that stuff. So
yeah.
But I think my most exciting product is, when my doctors told me I had to stop doing nails, I thought, no, like I need to do this. Like, this is what I do. I take care of people. So is when I started my prototypes for my invention. And again, all of the naysayers, is that going to work? How much is that going to cost? Are you sure you're going to get that's a lot of money, trying to put all of this doubt into your mind. And I said, I don't care. I don't care.
Fuels it. Yes.
How much money it costs. I did the work. You have to do the work. I did the work. I stayed up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, researching, writing, and it got approved. So, and it's all ergonomic. It's the first ergonomic hand rest ever developed for nails, all because the angle of the device, the height of the device, the way that it sits. When people sit across the table from a nail technician, they stick their arm right into the center of our body, and it causes ulnar deviation. They twist their hand this way and everything's nice and stiff and you can't work. And then they're up here and then they're down here and then they lean forward and then pull backwards. So every little area on the device prevents people from doing what they want to do. The nail technician is in complete control of it. So I have it right here. I'm going to show you.
Yeah. So you brought this on the cruise, the prototype.
Yes,
so
the prototype.
Yeah, and so we did get to kind of sit there and understand it. And, when you actually use it, it's different than when you view it. So, and the way that you designed it to how it fits on the desk where there's the opening and stuff in the back as well. I mean, every detail that's in here, you have for a perfect reason. And I know you and I were talking, I was like, I don't know, I only have a 17-inch wide desk because I purposely have left it that way so that I'm not reaching for my clients. Because after years, if your desk is too wide, you realize you need it close. Our knees touch, but my knees go to one side, there goes the other. And you know what? Their hand is right where I need it. And so I was like, I don't know, Lori, what about this width? What about this? And you had an answer for every single thing. And I was so proud of you because that proved all the thought that went into it. And you're like, no, I can use this over a vent. I can use this over. So you have it there. So let's see it. Let's see it.
And I had to do all of that because all of the hand rests that are on the market now, I had to prove why mine is different just so it could become patented. So the back of the rest, so this is on the nail technician side, it's open because when someone's fingers are hanging off, your hand needs to get under here to work. And if it is flat, it just runs into it. And then you end up pulling their hand forward and now they have all of this control. They can't have that control. Their hand has to be back here and their fingers just hanging over the edge. So I don't know if
you have your logo on this. I love seeing the end result. Yes.
Let me turn off this light to see if it helps though. So this is the wrist guide and this is the palm rest. So the hand of the client, it keeps the forearm, the wrist, and the hand in perfect alignment to the center of the nail technician's body. So they can't do any of this back and forth, back and forth. And when they put their hand on it, all of the weight is off of the nail technician's hand. There's no pressing, pulling up, it's the perfect height off of the table to get your hand underneath there to work, file, use your e-file, hand file, apply the acrylic. And then when it's time to do the massage, they slide right here in the center and they can do, the whole massage right through that little hole. So it's going really well. We have a couple distributors in the works, and one on the West Coast in California is going to start carrying it pretty soon. And then I'm going to my first trade show in Canada next month.
Yes.
We're going to be with Paul Gearman with Glam Up Nails in his booth doing demonstrations. So that'll be fun.
Another huge advantage to that we learned at nail camp. So we didn't have vents on the tables and stuff like that. Like we were using wide, like fold out tables for our tables. And so like with what Paul has, and he designs the vent to be in the center of the table, that is open so that when you're filing on their nails are like this and you're filing, it's going straight into the vent and away from the client and keeping it away from you as well. And so it was like one of those wow aha moments where I was like, whoa, that will make a big difference as well.
Yes.
So
well, and you can have that hole put right where you want it. So depending on how wide your table is, I had tabletops specially made for my current tables in the salon, and I had them move the vent right where the hands was going to be hanging over, because that hole wasn't going to be right in the middle of the table, or it would have been right underneath the hand rest.
right.
So you can move the hole, but yeah, it's his ventilation system. It's expensive, but it's amazing. It's worth every single cent.
And you know what? It's a one-time investment.
Yes,
you know,
everybody should start saving.
Yeah, I can tell you if you guys need an idea of how to save money for your table, I did a Tech Talk Live with Brandy Pig, and man, is she phenomenal with getting her clients to invest in her and the tips that she did. She gave many tips, and I can tell you that's how she got Paul's table too. So you guys need to watch the Tech Talk Live with Brandy if you don't have the money to invest in that. She gave many ways of how. One of the things that I want to make sure that we put on here, Lori, is well, first of all, Julia says, Lori inspires me daily with my pedicures.
Oh, thanks, Julia.
Kim says, I have learned so much from you about pedicures. I'm so grateful that you have chosen to help us to be better at pedicures. Thanks, Lori, or thanks so much.
You're welcome.
And then another one responded to that. Same here. I've learned so much from Lori also. And so it's, you have, you know, that you have so much that is so inspirational.
Yeah, it's crazy. I put a thing on my Instagram yesterday saying, like, this past week, the international response, like, people, you know, not everybody comments, but I was getting all of these things saying, thank you, you know, I'm a nail tech here, I'm a nail tech there. And I was like, I mean, my mind is just blown, you know, because I just go to work every day and I just do my job. And then I share this stuff. So I'm like, holy cow, like I cannot believe that there's people all over the world. So I said, you know, wow, I got this big international response. And in the comments, oh my gosh, I was like, what? Like just from all over the place. I'm just amazed. So it makes me so happy to know that you guys are giving care to your communities, and you're putting the same love and effort into it. And that makes my heart so happy. So
yeah,
you're going to have clients forever.
Carrie says, after coming back from your class that you taught in Gatlinburg, she goes, my clients have noticed a huge improvement in my pedicures. That's what it's all about right there.
Yes, that's fabulous. Yeah, I love it.
So I want to make sure before we get too far going, I know that the questions are going to start coming in of how do we get this? And so do you want to share your, like, how, I know that you have your YouTube, your websites and all of that, but let's verbally say it. How can people get your products?
So to get to the products for the online store, you go to the meticulousmanicurist.com. And if you want to order the hand rest, because it's a specific size box that we need to put it in, and we're trying to control shipping costs, I just have the website by itself for that, and it's the ergolift.com. So
is there a way, because I understand the whole shipping thing, and sometimes it's by size, sometimes by weight or whatever. But I
Yeah.
wonder if you put the sides on a hinge and can fold them under, it would make it flatter. Would that make any difference, or is it more the weight?
No, it's how it's manufactured.
So it wouldn't work.
Because to have it the most cost-effective way to manufacture, it needed to be injection molded, and you can't really
Put
put
a hinge to that. Yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
it would
I was
probably
talking,
triple the cost.
yeah. So my friend Anita has the Beauty Biz box, and we were talking about her cost of shipping is almost more than anything else in there. And so it opened my eyes to like, how much do you guys and distributors pay for shipping? And I know what we pay to be able to have it shipped to us, but it
Yeah.
just blows my mind. It can eat every bit of profits. And so I'm on this new mission where I'm trying to figure out how to make it most beneficial for these distributors to be able to ship their items, and not only internationally, but just like from one town to
Yeah.
the next.
Yes. And international shipping is outrageous. It's certainly not fair because we can order things from other countries and pay a fraction of what we have to pay to ship it to someplace. Australia is the biggest country where people are
Yes.
like, I mean, all day long, every single day from Australia. I want to order your stuff. I want to order your stuff. And it's around $66 to $75 just to ship a
Yeah.
small box to
It blows
Australia.
our mind. I know. So I always order big so that way sometimes the shipping is, better, but it benefits the company and order big. And then that way, if
Yeah,
I'm going to pay shipping, it's going to be worth it.
right. Absolutely.
You could
Yeah,
almost
because
get
as a
on a flight.
consumer, you want to be cost effective as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we go to the meticulousmanicurist.com for the implements and stuff. Is your Ergo Lift on there as well?
It's not because Bruce thinks that it would cause the shipping to be so much more. So we have just the ergolift.com just selling
By
the
itself?
hand rest
Okay.
right now. And when we can figure out, because it's the size of the box and the weight of the box, yeah. So until he figures out how to make that work, then I'll add it to the online store so people can add it with other stuff. But it's just
Perfect.
separate right now.
No,
Yeah.
I completely understand how all of that is, and it blows my mind. So Robin says that she's going to get her Nova Flare, so she's saving up for that. Mickey
Oh,
says,
good.
Lori, she says, I watch your YouTube channel, and sometimes I see you working on nails, and I would send to a doctor and not work on them. My question is to you, are you a medical nail technician? Here in the UK, we don't have that training. You're either a nail tech or you're a podiatrist. And so, that's an excellent question.
I just posted a video yesterday where I talk about the terms of medical nail technicians, because different countries in the United States, we all have different rules. So you have to look at your rules and regulations. The United States, you cannot intertwine medical into nail technician. The only overlap in the medical industry and the nail technician industry is we can both trim nails. But just because toenails don't look beautiful doesn't mean it's a medical condition. So people think, ew, gross, I wouldn't touch that. But you can still trim, file, shape, contour, you can still do all of those things to those nails. You're not going to catch a disease from it. I mean, you see, I don't wear gloves. I wash my hands. I use disinfectant on my hands. I work on my client. And when I'm finished, I wash my hands and I use germ killer on my hands. And my hands are in pristine condition. I've never had anything on my hands for 25 years. So just because it doesn't look pretty doesn't mean that it's not medical. In the United States, when people go to the doctor for nail fungus, doctors tell them this is a cosmetic problem. And when they go to nail technicians say this is a medical problem. It's not. We've just somewhere been told you're not allowed to work on that. And I think that people tell nail technicians because the instructor doesn't know how to tell people how to disinfect and use patron protection properly after one of those services.
Yeah.
You should be using the same patron protection procedures after every client, no matter if they appear to have a nail fungus on their toes or they appear to have a natural, because, you know, you should just be using good sanitation all of the time.
Yeah. And so in the state of Wyoming, we're not allowed to cut toenails. I can file them shorter, and I
Yeah,
can
you
use my
told me that
e-file.
before.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because every state all around the world is different. So what we did, just so that if you are somebody that wants to work on toes and you don't want to turn them away, they have their doctor's release saying that this is not fungal, this is not medical, like what you said, this is, you know, a cosmetic condition, because I've had that happen back to me. And the clients are like, I did go to the doctor. Here's what the doctor said. And I'm looking at these toes like, but my school taught me this, so I
Yes.
struggled too. So what I did is I teamed up. Her name was Sylvia Trotter, which was hilarious because she's a podiatrist and her last name was Trotter. So she and I teamed up. So the client would go to her and get all the trimming done that they needed. I would do the cuticle work, and I could, you know, thin them down and do whatever. I could do the pedicure side of it. And it cost a little bit more because they were going to two of us. But then she got to where she was like, you know what, Amy, why don't I just come into your salon? I can come in and I can do this on these pedicures. So we don't have to schedule them this way. Let's work this out. And I'm like, but I can't do the same thing to you. I can't take all of my stuff and go to your place because it has to be a salon, state regulated, you know, environment and all that.
Right.
And so she was able to come to me, but we had this perfect system for many years that worked for those clients. So, to be honest with you, I want to do it so bad. Like,
so
I'd
really love to. When's the last time you actually looked up the definition on your state board? Because so many times they repeal stuff like that. Are you sure it hasn't been repealed, or they haven't reworded it? Because if they say you can't use a blade is different than clippers or nippers.
True.
A blade is a razor blade, or one of the podiatrist tools that's like a straight blade. So
I don't remember. And because of my medical, we learned that position is what triggers my POTS. And so I have not done a pedicure in about 8 years. So I quit completely, even pushing that. So I haven't done much research lately, but you're right. I'm going to look it up.
Because I'll tell you what, I've read, I can't tell you how many rules and regulations I have read. First, I read them in 2009 when I wrote my book on cosmetology apprenticeship programs and how to train someone in your salon.
Yeah.
And now I've had to go back and refresh, and I read all kinds of different sections because I'll get comments from people saying, well, in my state, I'm not allowed to do this. And I look it up and I'm like, that's not what it says. And then I send them, here's the link, go and read it again, because things change over the years. I even had somebody tell me yesterday that their state did get deregulated. They don't have to have a license. Anybody can do nails.
Breaks my
heart.
And
it's in the United States. So you just have to read your rules. And sometimes it's on the interpretation of the rules. But you just need to reread them. But nowhere does it say it is prohibited to work on nail fungus. Nowhere. And people ask me a lot, well, in my state, it's a law you have to wear gloves. Okay. I've read, and it does not say that, not in anybody's state. Only if you cut somebody and you draw blood, you need to protect yourself and put on the gloves, and then make sure everybody has gloves in their blood spill kit. The nail techs just are being misinformed in the nail schools now, or in some nail schools. That's my only guess to why that is being said.
I know, which is really sad because that's where we're getting our education, is from the people that we pay and we trust. But yet I've helped fight many laws and actually create the nail program for Wyoming. And so with that, I've learned, like what you said, we need to read those fine lines and then get additional
Yes.
counsel on that. And so
Yeah.
Hillary's on here. She's like, preach with, exclamation points. She goes, you cannot necessarily see staph on the skin. You got to have proper disinfection procedures for each
Yes.
person.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely true. And so
Yes.
just like what you're saying, most of the stuff that we can find from state to state is actually online. And
Yes.
so I do search that as well because I'm always curious when people message me and say, well, I can't do this. And I'm like, well, why can't you do that? It doesn't
Right.
make sense to me. And then I'll read their stuff and I think, no, you need to call your state board and you need to talk
Yes.
to them because you're going to find out it's different. So one of the things in Wyoming is that I cannot teach a non-licensed person. So
Right.
therefore, when I was first in the nail groups and I was doing tutorials that were in public groups, it wasn't, I was teaching it online. So I had no control of who I was teaching.
Right.
So state came in and they're like, well, you're teaching non-licensed people because you're public like that. And there's not a law against that. However, if somebody was in my salon and I was teaching them, there is a law against that. So there's all these little fine tunes that you have to go through
And that's a very good point because I've seen where people say, she's not a licensed instructor. She's not allowed to do this. And the only thing, like, I can't get a job in a cosmetology school unless I have an instructor license. I do not need an instructor license to do a workshop at a trade show, to do a workshop in my salon, as long as they are licensed people. I'm not providing them the education for them to get their license. So people are just misunderstanding or being told, well, you're not allowed to do this, and then they believe the person. You should always look it up. If somebody tells you you're not allowed to do something, don't take their word for it. Just go look up your rules, and then you can inform them. Say, well, I just want to let you know so you don't tell anybody else this. This is what my rules say.
Yeah.
And everybody can be on the same page.
Yeah. So Matt, our state inspector, he knows that when he comes to inspect me, which we never know when he's going to come, he knows that he's going to be here for a while because I always have a list of questions. And so here's things that I learned so I'm grandfathered in because I've been licensed so long. I've been licensed almost 28 years now. I'm grandfathered in where I can teach at a school for up to 20 hours.
Oh, nice.
So they're non-licensed, yep.
Okay.
So you're grandfathered in, but it's not in any of the writings. And as an independent consultant, I was not able to go to the schools and teach nail art. And I thought, why that? But yet I'm an educator for Light Elegance and I can go teach all I want with Light Elegance and nail art using Light Elegance products. And I'm like, why is it okay for this but not that? So I mean, there's so many things that don't make sense. And so when Matt comes in, I'm like, okay, Matt, here's a new question for you. This just came up. This salon called and they wanted me to do this. It's in another state. And he goes, you have to go by their state rules. Well, in their state, they can do apprenticeship. In our state, we cannot. So I can go there and I can teach her apprentice who's not a licensed nail tech yet through her salon. But yeah, I can't do that here. And I'm like, so every state's even different. And you're right, but I can go to a trade show and I can teach anything. And I'm like, why? It's so, it gets me.
Yeah. And when people when they don't understand all of those different little things and they see something online, they jump in the comment section and they're like, you're not right. And you're like, calm down. Everything's okay.
I'm doing it by my rules.
Yeah.
I love what Lisa Ann is on here, and she said, we need to stop, and stop is in all caps, being sheepy or sheeple, I don't have my glasses on, and start using our own educated voices. And amen to that, Lisa, because I can tell you the power of our voices and being able to help each other, inspire each other, educate each other every step of the way.
Yes.
And what's nice, what Lori does is that she's not only using her voice, but she's actually showing you the skills. So she's using it through visual as well. And exactly that. We need to stop living in fear, as what we kind of started this, and get educated from the state.
And when people have a question or a differing opinion on something, instead of being like defiant, try to understand where the other person is coming from, because you could be misinterpreting what that person said. And until you stop and listen and say, oh, never mind, that's what she meant, there doesn't need to be any conflict. Like if you just understand where the other person's coming from or understand their state rules and regulations, but you can't like pounce on people because they have different set of regulations. So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the comments just went nuts. So Jessica says, good morning. Lisa says, Lori, you and I need to meet.
Oh, good.
Robin says,
where do you live, Lisa?
Yeah. Robin says, education is power, and that's so very true. Jill's on here, and she says, no MNT course is recognized by any state board and advanced licensed unto itself. Techs can get a certificate for passing the MNT, which I'm not sure what that is, course, but it's not recognized by any medical board either.
Yes. So an MNT, we talked on this a little earlier, is a medical nail technician. And in my video that I posted last night, I talk about this. I talk about it for about 5 minutes. And states say you can't intertwine medical with nail technician because you just can't. It's like, I wouldn't even call a pedicure in my salon a medical pedicure. I call my pedicures pedicure, customized pedicure, and specialized pedicure, because depending on what they're going to have done is going to require different products, different tools, different equipment, different timing, and a different price point. So you want to understand what your client needs are before they do that. But it's not a medical condition. They're just toenails, and it's just a pedicure. I mean, if somebody had nail polish on their nails and you couldn't see through the nail plate, and you did all of the exact same steps on them without removing their nail polish because you didn't realize that they had a nail fungus under there, you've done a pedicure. Just because you remove the nail polish and you see a yellow spot where they have, stubbed their toe or gotten, stabbed with a stick and gotten a little fungus starting on their toe, you can't say, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have touched that. It's not going to kill you. Wash your hands, disinfect your hands afterwards, clean your tub with all of your EPA registered stuff. Make sure that you're not going to pass anything on to your next client. If you accidentally give somebody a pedicure and you notice, oh crap, she had a wart on her foot and I didn't even see it because it's like way tucked underneath here, your next client's going to have to wait for the recommended amount of time until you run bleach through that tub. And then you can say, sorry, like, oops, I didn't see it, but I'm not going to go, oh, I'm just not going to let anybody know that I accidentally did that, because you have to protect your next client. And
yourself. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I love the suggestions that you gave of not calling yourself a medical nail technician. And it's interesting because maybe where I'm at, I've never heard of a medical nail technician or a medical cover. We've tied in with medical, but I guess I've never heard it that way. And so thanks for educating me.
So I'll tell you, the podiatrists are like, oh, nail technicians could be a benefit in my business. So after I do the work on their feet, then my client could go to them to get them all prettied up.
Yeah.
But a podiatrist isn't licensed to do the polishing and the cuticles, and that's why they don't soak, and that's why they don't do all of that stuff, because if they did do all of that stuff, we wouldn't have a job. So the industries aren't intertwined. The only overlap is that toenail trimming part of it. So they wanted to have nail technicians in their business to take care of their clients afterwards, but even they have to be licensed as a limited cosmetology establishment, because they have to make sure that they're following the rules of the state. And a nail technician can only work in a licensed cosmetology establishment. So if anybody is like, some people say, oh my gosh, I want to do what you do and I want to help people, I'm going to go work in a podiatrist's office. Well, you don't really need to work in a podiatrist's office to help people. You can, because they're going to have a lot of clientele off the bat. but they have to be licensed as and they might not know. They might not know that they have to be licensed as a cosmetology establishment because they think, well, my medical license should cover all of that, and it doesn't, because it's not going to have any of the terminology that pedicures and nail technicians go by.
Which a perfect example is how Sylvia Trotter and I teamed up and did what we did to be able to follow within the rules and all of that. Hillary's on here in all caps. I am eating this up. She's loving every bit that we're sharing. So thank you guys for joining.
Hi, Hillary. I've been watching you a lot on Instagram lately.
Likewise, yes.
Yeah.
Getting your name out there and using your voice. Exactly that. So Kim asks, she goes, can you touch on sanitation for the petty chairs? I use hospital grade, but is that enough?
I think that people use the terms hospital grade. I think it actually says hospital grade on a lot of labels. They have to be, EPA is the Environmental Protection Agency. You have to make sure that the label says that it's a fungicide, viricide, that it actually says that it'll kill HIV. And depending on how you mix things, I had a nail technician once who I walked in, and the bottle that we have, stuff that we spray the tub with, that says that it will kill staph, everything, in 60 seconds. She had mixed just regular barbicide solution in it. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, barbicide's barbicide. And I'm like, no, it's not. That solution, the tools have to be immersed for, it used to be 20 minutes. And now they say 10 minutes. I'm like, no, you can't clean the tub with that. So I dumped that out and I said, this is the solution. This is how it is mixed properly. This is what you spray the tub and the tools with, and then you clean, rinse everything, wash your tools, rinse your tools, and then submerge your tools into the wet sanitizer to disinfect everything properly.
Yeah, and that does seem to be standard across everywhere of the same type of sanitation with that. The difference is sometimes autoclaves, depending on that. But, it's interesting. So when I did do pedicures, and we would use Cavicide is what we had used. And so yeah, and so when Matt, poor Matt, he's been our state inspector for many years.
Guy.
Yeah, and so Matt comes in one day and I had a bone to pick with him. I was just angry because, they come in, and I remember one of my girls, she wore gloves when she did pedicures, and I remember her taking her fingers, her fresh gloved, wasn't touching the client. At that point, she had already done the toe work. She takes her gloves, she sticks it into her scrub, and then she does her scrub and everything like that. And then she would take her gloves off, and well, Matt saw fingerprints into her scrub, and he made us throw away the entire tub. Now, we used to buy in bulk. Yeah. And we had to throw away the tub because there's fingerprints in it. I'm like, she uses a gloved hand. He goes, you have to use a spatula.
Doesn't matter.
And, yeah. And so anyway, so get past all of that. So one of my techs had moved, and she had moved within the same state, but to another town where state board is. And so, and her name was Diane. So Diane goes, you know what, Amy, you know what's crazy? We use bleach to clean everything here. And I'm like, what? You can't use that. Like, that's not EPA. That's not, it doesn't meet the regulations. And she goes, they do. And she goes, and I'm doing the president of the state board. And she saw us doing this. And I'm like, how is that? And she goes, and I'm following what the salon's telling me to do. She goes, we're not using Cavicide. We're not doing the same procedures that you did. So boy, when Matt came in, I'm like, our own state board is going in and you guys aren't allowing that. And he goes, Amy, look at it this way. A lot of people will do things against the rules until they're caught. And he goes, how much money is she saving by using bleach until she gets caught? And I go, but our state board director is going there and getting that done. Yeah. But is she seeing that? How many times they do it? So like reusing files and all of that. And I'm like, I can't mentally know that I'm doing something against the law or against the rules and be okay with that.
No, me either. But is there any other product other than bleach to pour into the tub to run it after, I think that's all there is, right? I mean, you're not going to pour your Cavicide or your barbicide or your Wavicide into the tub to run it, you know what I mean?
We
I
ran
think bleach
liners.
is the standard thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless there's something else and anybody else can tell me that if
In our
there's
salon, it
something
was
else.
different. We had pipeless, and so everything we had was
Yep,
a
we have
liner.
pipeless too, but you
So,
still, yeah, that.
yeah, we didn't have any of that. And like I said, I've been out of the pedicure game for so long that I don't even
Yeah.
know what's out there for that. That's why we need people like you to educate us along the way. First of all, Lisa Williams is on here. She was on our cruise with us as well, and she says
Hi,
hello.
Lisa. Yeah.
Yeah, but then Lisa sorry about that, Lisa, says, I love watching Lori. I learned so much from her in handling difficult client toes. The care I take with them is so appreciated. I use a footsie bath and my clients love seeing that it's disposable. Especially my clients with diabetes. Yes, actually,
Yes.
absolutely. And earlier somebody said they can't even work on a client if they're diabetic, and you're saying that you can. Like, once again, get educated with your state of what the rules are, because there's so many different regulations. And
yeah, I mean, in my memory, I've never seen a state board rule exclude pedicures. Someone's doctor might tell them they don't want them to get a pedicure because maybe their sugar is so out of control that they are really at risk. But most of the time, a pedicure, a diabetic client getting a pedicure, the risk comes from if they get a nick in their skin and they can't feel their feet, they'll ignore the wound, not clean it properly, and that's when they'll get an infection, and that's where the problem will come from. Anybody who's diabetic to sugar is well controlled and they have good feeling in their feet, there really shouldn't be any worries. You're still going to follow all of the same protocol, and you're going to be especially careful to make sure that you don't even scrape their skin even with a fingernail file, let alone any kind of clippers or nippers or anything like that. So
exactly. Yeah. So Lisa Williams lives in Wyoming too, and she knows Matt.
Okay. She's like,
she too.
Let's have this chat with Matt.
Yeah, so she gave she said that she uses what's called Spa Clean and Barbicide Plus, and that's what she uses in hers. So obviously there's going to be some out there, and you guys can share them in the comments, even if you're watching this on
there's
replay.
Lots of different
share what you use. Yeah,
things to use in between every single client. There's lots of different stuff, and just because somebody uses something different than you. Like, I used to use Citricide. I loved Citricide. And then they said, oh, they're discontinuing Citricide. I'm like, why? What was wrong with Citricide? Like, I don't get it.
We had tanning beds, and it was one of the only strongest sanitation kind of sprays that we could do.
Didn't smell horrible.
Yeah. The things over the years that we've had. And, it's like eggs. They're the healthiest thing for you. You need all this. You need the protein. You need all of this. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, eggs are so bad for you. You don't have them, and now you can have them again. The main thing is get educated. Go to the source and find out the true proper way of what they recommend. Is it 20 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Do they say fill up the whole tub? Do they say spray it and leave it? There's just truly get educated on that.
Talking of education, I hope everybody goes to the Nail Tech event of the Smokies. It's in July of next year, 2020. I'll be giving a couple of different classes there. And I like I said, technology's been crazy lately. I haven't been able to add the descriptions. No, I think I have those descriptions. It's the French Lick, Indiana Nail Retreat in April that I don't have up yet, but I will as soon as my websites get finished moving to a different server. But I will have education classes in Indiana in April and in July in Gatlinburg, Tennessee with Jill.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I know we've been on way past an hour, but I just as we were in person, I just can't get enough of you and your education, and you're just kind. And so
thanks.
With what you're doing online and where you're going, I know that you have more things in the works that you're working on.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
You are unstoppable, and I love that about you. And
thanks. I just hope my kids don't hate my guts. But in a few years, are like, she ignored us for like 3 years because she was talking to all these nail techs.
I love it.
They're big. They're 15 and 18 now, so they're kind of like, oh, good, she's not paying attention, so I'm gonna, go watch rated R movies or whatever.
Yeah. You know, it's hard because when we're passionate, it does kind of drive into what we call our family time. But in the
Yeah.
same sense, if we weren't passionate about what we do, we wouldn't be able to support our families in the manners that we have.
Right.
And so
Exactly.
there's that mutual respect that goes both
Yes.
ways. I know my kids are the same way.
Yes.
But Lori, congratulations
Oh,
on
thanks.
your patent, your inventions, your product lines.
Thanks.
Your YouTube is super successful, and everything that you touch, you put in wholeheartedly. And I just want to say thank you for sharing
Thanks.
all of your knowledge. And you hate to say that it comes from a base of fear, but sometimes that's how
Right.
we do the most. And
Yeah.
so, not that I'm thankful for the fear and everything that happens with you, but
Right.
you know, would we be in the same place if it wasn't for that? And so,
Right. I don't think so. Yeah, I think I just would have been like, you know, kicking along, staying status quo, and until those things happen, you're like, wait a second, you can't take advantage of me like that. I think I'm gonna make a stand and stand up for myself. But one thing that we are going to do this year, I haven't really mentioned it a lot because I'm just ADD and I'm just moving from one thing to the next on a lot of things. But when I hit 500,000 subscribers, Bruce and I are going on a worldwide pedicure tour. I'm giving away 3 pedicures to people who need it in other countries. So when I'm going to, they've been submitting their photos and applications, and there's no cost to them. I'm going to fly there. I'm going to give a little class for people who are in that area who want to learn more about their at-home care and stuff. And then I'm going to help show the person how to take care of their feet at home. And then we're going to go to the next place and the next place. So there's going to be 3 people. So that'll be fun.
I want to go with you.
Foot care. Okay, let's go.
So
you can come.
Beth Livesay and I just had this conversation about a month ago. We talked about what would it be like for us educators and us techs to team up and travel and offer our education to.
I think that would be so much fun.
And so it's on our to-do list. So we decided that, you know, we need to calm things down that is already on our calendar and mark that in and let's get that going. And so what you're getting ready to do is exactly what we're going to team up with Nails Magazine to do. So exactly. Jill said, how amazing is that? That is phenomenal what you're
Well, because, you know, foot care in other countries isn't the same. I mean, these people, okay, number one, how did we ever give a pedicure with an orange wood stick? I don't know how I ever survived giving my client services with an orange wood stick. So, I mean, people in other countries don't even have that. And just, you know, teaching them how to recognize certain things and then what to do when they see it, just to try to rein things in and try to, you know, get pretty feet again. So,
Mickey says, I want to have bad feet so you can come here too.
Oh, good.
Oh my goodness. Well, on that, Mickey, I say thank you for the fun. I hate to have to let you go, Lori, but I don't want to continue to take up your time. There are some more comments and more questions are starting to come in, and obviously on replay, we encourage you to still be active and ask questions along the way. What you will need to do, though, is tag my name or Lori's name in the comments so that it hits a notification. If not, we don't always see it. And so please, you know, Lori obviously is willing to share every bit of her knowledge. So whether you ask her through the Meticulous Manicure sites, YouTubes, and all of that, but you can also ask through here. So thank you guys.
And I'll get on the computer and look through the comments because I couldn't see any on my screen, but I'll go read them all and answer everything. So.
Yeah, wonderful. Lori, I've already said I appreciate you so much. I love that I got to meet you, and I can't wait till we meet again.
I know. I wish you lived down the street. Like,
I know.
We can get so much accomplished.
That's right. I agree. We'll work on some things. I got some ideas. Anyways, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me on again. And I'll see everybody else in the comments.
All right.
Have a great day. Bye.